The 24 hours passed slowly. On Earth, people watched their screens. News channels showed the alien fleet. Artists drew pictures of what the Valorians might look like. Some people were scared. Others were angry. Many felt helpless, but the government worked in secret. General Minho moved military units into position. Not the regular army, not the Navy or Air Force, special units, hidden units, soldiers who had trained for decades for this exact situation. Dr. Yunji coordinated with teams around the world, in Antarctica, on the dark side of the moon, on orbital platforms disguised as old satellites, on ships hidden in the asteroid belt. Every piece of Project Aegis moved into place like pieces on a chessboard. President Daiho prepared his speech, the speech that would signal the beginning. He practiced the words. Each sentence had two meanings. One meaning for the people, another meaning for the defense systems. Specific phrases would activate specific weapons. When the time came, Daiho sat at his desk. Cameras pointed at him. He looked tired, defeated, sad. It was perfect acting. Behind him stood General Minho. The general's jaw was tight. His eyes were hard. He looked like a man accepting terrible fate. Daiho began to speak. He talked about Earth's history, about humanity's dreams of reaching the stars, about meeting other civilizations. He said those dreams were ending now. Earth would become part of something bigger. The Valorian Imperium. He asked people to stay calm, to accept their new reality, to not resist. He said resistance would only bring death. Cooperation would bring survival. His voice cracked with emotion. Tears seemed to form in his eyes, but hidden in his words were the activation codes. When he said our long journey, satellite networks realigned. When he said new dawn, weapons powered up. When he said accept our place, targeting systems locked on. The speech was a weapon disguised as surrender. On the Eternal Dominion, Admiral Jiwan watched the human president's speech. She nodded with satisfaction. This was how it should be, acceptance, understanding. The strong rule the weak. This was natural law. Universal law. She turned to Youngsik. She said to prepare the landing forces. They would begin the occupation. 50 ships would stay in high orbit as blockade. The rest would go to Earth, land in major cities. Establish control. The fleet began to move. 847 massive ships advancing toward the small blue planet. They moved in formation. Perfect military precision. They had done this 312 times before. Earth would be no different. Youngsik still felt uneasy. Something bothered him. The humans had ancient wisdom about battles. He had read their military history. Their greatest generals always said the same thing. Know your enemy. But what did the Valorians really know about humans? He ran more scans. Deeper scans. He pushed the sensors to maximum range. Searched for hidden bases. Underground facilities, cloaked ships, anything unusual. The scans showed nothing. Earth looked exactly as expected, primitive and defenseless. But the scans were looking for the wrong things. They searched for heat signatures, metal concentrations, energy emissions. They could not detect dimensional shields that existed slightly outside normal space, could not find weapons that were powered down and waiting, could not see the trap. The fleet reached Mars orbit. Jiwan looked at the red planet. Humans had stations there. Small colonies. Research bases. All abandoned now. The colonists had fled back to Earth when the Valorian fleet arrived. From Mars, Earth looked beautiful. A blue marble hanging in black space. White clouds swirled over oceans. Green and brown continents were visible. It looked peaceful, innocent, worth protecting. Jiwan ordered the landing craft prepared. The first wave would target 6 cities. New York, London, Tokyo, Mumbai, Sao Paulo, Lagos, major population centers, places where billions could see Valorian power, where resistance would be broken immediately. President Daiho sent one more message. His final transmission before the occupation began. He spoke directly to Admiral Jiwan. He thanked her for being merciful, for giving Earth time. He formally surrendered on behalf of all humanity. His voice trembled. Just slightly, perfectly. The trembling of a defeated leader accepting the inevitable. Jiwan heard it and felt satisfaction. She had broken stronger leaders, crushed prouder civilizations. Earth was just another conquest, she replied to the human president. Her message was formal. She promised fair treatment. Humans would serve the Imperium. They would have a place, a purpose. Eventually they would be grateful. This was how it always went. In Sanctuary, deep under Antarctic ice, Dr. Yunji watched countdown timers. Multiple screens showed different numbers, all counting down, all reaching 0 at the same moment, 60 seconds. She checked every system one final time. Dimensional shields ready, quantum disruptors charged, mass drivers loaded, 0-point torpedoes armed, gravitational interdiction field prepared. Everything was perfect, 40 seconds. General Minho stood beside her. He had seen many battles, won many wars, but never against aliens, never against an empire that spanned the galaxy. His hands were steady. His breathing was calm. Years of training and discipline, 20 seconds. Around the world, weapons came online, systems that had been hidden for decades. Technology that the Valorians did not know existed, could not imagine existed. Earth's secret strength, 10 seconds. Captain Ji-young commanded the orbital platforms. 200 of them, each one disguised as space junk, old satellites, defunct equipment. But inside were quantum disruptors, weapons that could ignore shields, bypass defenses, destroy matter itself, 5 seconds. On the moon's far side, massive doors opened. Doors hidden under lunar dust for 30 years. Inside were electromagnetic railguns, each one a kilometer long, each one capable of launching projectiles at near light speed, 3 seconds. Commander Taehyun prepared the deep space interceptors, 50 small ships, fast ships, invisible ships. Each one carried 0-point torpedoes, weapons that could tear holes in space itself. 1 second. Dr. Yunji looked at General Minho. He nodded once. She entered the final authorization code. Her fingers pressed the keys. The command went out instantly, traveling at the speed of light to every system. Every weapon, every platform, 0 the dimensional shields activated. Around Earth, around the moon, massive spheres of energy appeared. They shimmered like soap bubbles, but they were harder than any material, stronger than any force. They existed between dimensions. Nothing could pass through them. Nothing. On the Eternal Dominion, alarms screamed. Red lights flashed everywhere. Sensors went crazy with readings. Youngsik shouted reports. Energy spheres around Earth and Luna. Massive energy output. Unknown technology. Shields of some kind. Jiwan stared at the view screen. The blue planet had vanished behind a wall of shimmering energy. Her tactical officer, Hyun-woo, tried to lock weapons. The systems could not get a target. Earth did not exist in normal space anymore. It was there but not there. Present but unreachable. Jiwan understood immediately. A trap. This was a trap. The humans had lied. They were not primitive, not defenseless. They had technology the Imperium did not possess. Advanced technology. Dangerous technology, she screamed orders. Full retreat. Maximum speed. All ships scatter and run. Get away from this system. Away from Earth. Away from whatever nightmare they had stumbled into. The fleet began to turn. 847 massive warships trying to reverse course. Trying to escape. But they were already in range. Already targeted. Already doomed. Captain Ji-young gave her order. 2 simple words. Fire everything. The orbital platforms fired first. 200 beams of quantum energy. Pure destruction traveling at light speed. The beams did not hit the Valorian shields. They passed through them. Phased through. Like the shields were not there, the beams touched Valorian hulls. Touched and destroyed. Ships did not explode. Did not burn. They simply stopped existing. Atoms separated. Molecules dissociated. Matter became energy. 50 ships vanished in the first second. Jiwan watched in horror. In her 300 years of life, she had never seen such weapons. Weapons that ignored shields. Weapons that erased matter. Weapons that made her fleet look like ancient warriors with stone clubs. The trap had sprung, and the Valorians were caught inside. 50 Valorian warships were gone. Just gone. No explosions. No debris. No wreckage floating in space. One moment they existed. The next moment they were clouds of scattered atoms. Invisible to the eye. Admiral Jiwan could not believe what she saw. Her hands gripped the command chair. Her forearms shook slightly. Fear. Real fear. She had not felt fear in centuries. The Valorians were apex predators. They did not know fear. Until now, Youngsik was shouting. Emergency maneuvers. Evasive patterns. Scatter formation. Every ship for itself. The fleet broke apart. Military discipline dissolved into survival instinct. 797 ships tried to run in different directions, but Earth was not finished. On the moon's far side, Commander Taehyun initiated the next attack. The mass drivers fired. Electromagnetic rails launched tungsten projectiles. Each projectile was the size of a telephone pole. Each one accelerated to 95% of light speed. At that speed, the projectiles were invisible. They crossed the distance to the Valorian fleet in seconds. No time to react. No time to dodge. No time to raise additional shields. The projectiles hit. Kinetic energy. Pure physics. Force equals mass times acceleration. At near light speed, even small mass becomes devastating. The projectiles carried more energy than nuclear bombs. Much more. Valorian shields tried to stop them. The shields were designed for energy weapons. Plasma beams, lasers, particle cannons. Not solid matter moving at relativistic speeds. The shields overloaded instantly. Failed. Collapsed. Projectiles pierced through ships like paper. Some ships were cut in half. Clean cuts. The two halves drifted apart, spinning. Other ships shattered into pieces. Thousands of fragments. A few lucky ships were only damaged. Crippled but not destroyed. 130 more ships died. In less than 5 seconds, the mighty Third Conquest fleet was being slaughtered, massacred, annihilated. Youngsik calculated the losses. Over 180 ships destroyed, more than 20% of the fleet, in under 2 minutes. At this rate, the entire fleet would be gone in 10 minutes. They had to escape. Had to run. Had to survive. Jiwan ordered maximum power to shields. All weapons batteries to fire. Return fire at anything, Earth, the moon, the orbital platforms. Anything human. Make them pay. Make them hurt. The remaining 667 Valorian ships opened fire. Plasma cannons blazed. Missiles launched by the thousands. Energy beams bright enough to blind. Enough firepower to destroy a dozen planets. Enough to crack worlds. Enough to boil oceans. The plasma beams hit Earth's dimensional shield. They passed through. Like shooting at ghosts. Like attacking shadows. The energy continued into empty space. Harmless. Wasted. The missiles reached the shield and exploded. Thousands of explosions. Nuclear fire. Antimatter detonations. Reality-warping weapons. The shield absorbed everything. Did not flicker. Did not weaken. Did not fail. Not a single shot reached Earth. Not one weapon touched the atmosphere. Humanity's defenses were perfect, complete, total. In Sanctuary, Lieutenant Mireille watched the Valorian attack. She smiled coldly. The aliens had revealed all their weapons, showed all their capabilities. Now Earth knew exactly what the Imperium could do, and it was not enough. Not nearly enough. General Minho gave the next order. Deploy the interceptors. Finish this. 50 ships appeared. They had been hiding in high orbit. Stealth technology made them invisible, undetectable. They were small ships, only 200 meters long, tiny compared to Valorian warships, but size did not matter. The interceptors accelerated fast, incredibly fast. They moved like lightning, zigzagging through the Valorian formation, dodging return fire, dancing between plasma beams, moving too quickly for point defense systems. Commander Taehyun led the attack personally. His ship was called Shadow Strike. He had trained for this his entire life, practiced in simulations, studied ancient Earth naval battles, dogfights from old wars. He applied those lessons now. The interceptors launched their torpedoes, 0-point torpedoes. Each one contained a 0-point energy generator. The generators were set to fail catastrophically on impact. Controlled failure, weaponized failure. The torpedoes hit Valorian ships. When they exploded, they created vacuum energy fluctuations. Space itself rippled. Gravity went insane. Localized distortions. Temporary singularities. Reality broke down. Ships were crushed. Hulls compressed like aluminum cans. Metal folded, bent, twisted. Some ships were pulled into micro-black holes, stretched like taffy, spaghettified. Others were ripped apart by tidal forces, torn to pieces. The death toll climbed. 200 more ships destroyed in 30 seconds. The Valorian fleet was dying, bleeding, disintegrating before Jiwan's eyes. She realized the truth. The battle was lost, completely lost. No hope of victory, no possibility of winning. Survival was the only goal now. Save whoever could be saved. Jiwan screamed the order. All ships scatter, maximum speed. Jump to hyperspace. Abandon formation. Abandon tactics, just run. Everyone run, the remaining ships tried. They pushed their engines to maximum. Acceleration that would crush normal beings. But Valorians were strong, built for war, built for survival. They could handle the pressure. Ships began jumping, entering hyperspace, faster than light travel, the only way to escape. Dozens jumped, then dozens more. The fleet was abandoning the battlefield, fleeing, retreating. But something was wrong. Some ships jumped successfully. Others tried and failed. Their hyperspace drives activated, but nothing happened. They remained in normal space, trapped, unable to leave. General Minho had anticipated this. He gave Captain Ji-young another order. Activate the gravitational interdiction field. Throughout the asteroid belt, hidden gravity generators came online. Hundreds of them, placed years ago, waiting for this moment. They worked together, created a massive gravitational distortion. A gravity well. Hyperspace travel required flat space-time. No gravitational interference. The interdiction field curved space, made it bumpy, unstable. Ships could not jump, could not escape into hyperspace. They were trapped in the Sol system. Ji-won understood. Another trap. Within a trap. Within a trap. Humans had planned everything, anticipated everything, prepared for every possibility. The interceptors pursued, hunting down fleeing Valorian ships, one by one, ship by ship. Some Valorian vessels surrendered, powered down weapons, sent distress signals. Others fought to the end, died fighting, died with honor. The battle lasted 3 more hours. 3 hours of running and hunting, chasing and killing. By the end, only 23 Valorian ships remained intact. All of them had surrendered, stopped fighting, accepted defeat. The Eternal Dominion was one of the survivors. Heavily damaged, half the crew dead, systems failing, but intact. Ji-won sat in her command chair surrounded by bodies. Valorian warriors who had died at their posts. She sent a message to Earth. A simple message. She requested terms of surrender. She asked to speak with President Daeho, warrior to leader, defeated to victor. In Geneva, in the command center, people celebrated, cheered, hugged each other. They had won. Against impossible odds, they had won. Earth was safe. Humanity survived, but General Minho did not celebrate. Neither did Dr. Yoonji. Neither did President Daeho. They knew this was just the beginning. The Valorian Imperium was vast. This fleet was only a small part of it. The battle was won. But the war might be just starting. Everything depended on what happened next, on how the Imperium responded, on whether they sought revenge or peace. President Daeho accepted Admiral Ji-won's request. He would meet with her, talk with her, maybe teach her something about humanity, about Earth, about why attacking this planet was the biggest mistake the Imperium ever made. The Third Conquest Fleet was destroyed, 24 ships obliterated, 23 ships captured, and Earth had suffered 0 casualties. Not a single death, not one injury. A perfect victory, the message was clear. Earth was not prey. Earth was the hunter. And any empire that forgot that would pay a terrible price. Admiral Ji-won stood on the bridge of her flagship. The ship was called Eternal Dominion. It was massive, bigger than any city on Earth. The bridge had tall windows that showed the darkness of space. Stars filled the view like tiny diamonds scattered across black cloth. Ji-won was tall, very tall. She stood 8 feet high. Her body had 4 arms instead of 2. Her skin looked like it was made of crystal. It shined under the bridge lights. She was a Valorian. Her people were warriors. They had been warriors for thousands of years. Behind her stood 847 warships. Each one could destroy a planet. Their weapons could turn rock into glass, turn cities into dust, turn oceans into steam. The Valorian Imperium had conquered 312 worlds. Earth would be number 313. Ji-won looked at the star map. A small yellow star glowed in the center. The humans called it the sun. Around it spun several planets. The third planet was blue and green. That was Earth, home to 11 billion humans. 6 months ago, a Valorian scout ship had found Earth. The scout reported back to the Imperium. The report said humans were primitive. They had basic technology, simple weapons, one government that ruled the whole planet, no real military power. An easy target, Ji-won smiled. Easy conquests were boring, but they were efficient. The Imperium needed resources. Earth had water, metals, and living space. The humans would serve the Empire. That was their destiny now. The fleet dropped out of hyperspace near Neptune. The blue planet looked tiny from this distance, Jiwon gave an order. Her communications officer sent a message to Earth. The message went at the speed of light. It would reach Earth in 4 hours. The message was simple: surrender or die. Join the Imperium peacefully or watch your world burn. Choose quickly. The Valorians were not patient. On Earth, in a city called Geneva, Defense Minister Heejin received the message. She sat in a large room filled with computers and screens. The room was underground. Very deep underground. This was the United Earth Defense Council headquarters. Heejin read the message 3 times. Her hands did not shake. She had prepared for this day. Earth had prepared for this day. She pressed a button. Red lights flashed throughout the building. An alarm sounded. Everyone knew what it meant. First contact, and it was hostile. Within minutes, important people arrived. General Minho came first. He was the commander of all Earth's military forces. He wore a dark uniform with many medals. His face was hard like stone. He had been a soldier for 40 years. Dr. Eunji came next. She was a scientist, the best scientist on Earth. She led the Advanced Weapons Division. She knew secrets that most people did not know, secrets that could change everything. President Daeho arrived last. He was the leader of United Earth, a tall man with gray hair and tired eyes. He had led Earth for 10 years. Good years. Peaceful years. Now war had found them. Ambassador Sora was already in the room. She was the chief diplomat. Her job was to talk to other nations, to make peace, to solve problems with words instead of weapons. But what could words do against 847 warships? They gathered around a large table. Holographic images appeared above the table. Images of the Valorian fleet. Each ship glowed red. There were so many red dots. Too many, Sora spoke first. She said they should negotiate. Talk to the aliens. Find a peaceful solution. Maybe the Valorians would accept tribute. Resources instead of conquest. Gold, diamonds, rare metals. Earth had plenty. General Minho shook his head. He said warriors like the Valorians did not want tribute. They wanted slaves. They wanted to rule, to dominate, to control. Negotiation would not work. Dr. Yunji pulled up more data. Numbers and charts filled the air. She showed the power of the Valorian weapons. Each ship had plasma cannons, energy shields, missile batteries. 1 ship could destroy a continent. 10 ships could end all life on Earth. The room became quiet. The numbers were terrible, frightening. How could Earth fight this? How could anyone fight this? President Daeho looked at each person. Then he spoke. His voice was calm, steady. He said they would respond diplomatically. They would ask for time, buy time. While preparing their defenses, Sora looked confused. What defenses? Earth's military had missiles and fighter jets, satellites and space stations. Nothing that could hurt ships that big. Nothing that could penetrate Valorian shields. President Daeho smiled. It was a small smile. A secret smile. He said Earth was not defenseless. Not really. They had been preparing. Preparing for 50 years, Dr. Yunji stood up. She said it was time to activate Project Aegis. The others nodded. They all knew about Aegis. It was Earth's greatest secret, their last hope. Sora sent a reply to the Valorians. The reply was polite, humble. It asked for 48 hours to consider the terms of surrender, time to prepare their people, time to say goodbye to freedom. On the Eternal Dominion, Jiwon read the human response. She laughed. The sound was like breaking glass. 48 hours? These humans were bold. She would give them 24 hours. 1 day. That was generous enough. Her second officer, Young-sik, stood nearby. He was younger than Jiwon, less experienced. He had only conquered 15 worlds. This was his first major campaign. He watched the humans' planet on the view screen. Young-sik felt something strange, a feeling he could not name. Doubt maybe, or worry. The humans had surrendered very quickly. Too quickly. Most species fought first, resisted, made brave speeches about freedom and honor. Then they surrendered. But humans went straight to surrender. He shared his thoughts with Jiwon. She waved her hand dismissively. She said he was nervous. First campaign jitters. The humans were just smart. They saw the fleet and understood. No point in fighting. No point in dying. Surrender was logical, but Young-sik was not convinced. He ordered deeper scans of Earth. Scans of the space around Earth, scans of the moon. His technicians worked for hours. The results came back. Nothing unusual. Primitive satellites, old space stations, weak defenses, Everything matched the scout report. Deep under the ice of Antarctica, machines woke up. Machines that had slept for years, decades, waiting for this moment. Lights turned on in vast underground chambers. Computers booted up. Weapons systems ran diagnostics. Dr. Yunji arrived at the facility. She traveled through underground tunnels on a high-speed train. The facility was called Sanctuary. It was 5 miles below the ice. Nobody knew it existed except a few hundred people. She walked into the main control room. Technicians worked at their stations. Screens showed data, numbers, calculations, energy readings, all climbing toward operational levels. Yunji placed her hand on a crystal panel. The panel glowed blue. It scanned her hand, her fingerprints, her DNA. The system recognized her. Access granted. Project Aegis came online. Not weapons like missiles or bombs, not lasers or railguns. Something far more advanced. Something the Valorians had never seen. Technology that would make their empire look primitive. Earth had discovered zero-point energy 30 years ago. Quantum weapons 20 years ago. Dimensional shields 15 years ago. They kept it all secret, hidden. The galaxy was dangerous, full of predators. The smart prey hides until it becomes the hunter. Yunji looked at the main screen. It showed the Valorian fleet. 847 red dots, each one a threat, each one a target. Soon those dots would start disappearing, she whispered to herself. Welcome to Earth, you picked the wrong planet. 3 days passed after the battle. Admiral Jiwan was brought to Earth. A human shuttle came to collect her. Small ship, unarmed, just a transport. She could have killed the pilots easily. Taken the ship, tried to escape. But where would she go? Her fleet was destroyed. Her ship crippled. She had no choice. The shuttle landed in Geneva. Underground facility, very deep. Security everywhere, but no weapons pointed at her. Guards watched, but did not threaten. Strange. She was a prisoner, but treated with respect. Her quarters surprised her most. Not a cell, not a cage, a comfortable room. Large bed. Furniture sized for someone 8 feet tall. Windows showing holographic views of Earth landscapes, mountains, oceans, forests, beautiful planet. The next morning, President Daiho came to meet her. He entered alone. Well, not completely alone. Defense Minister Heejin and Ambassador Sora came with him, but no soldiers, no guards. 3 humans facing a Valorian warrior. Were they stupid or brave? Jiwon could not decide. She had 4 arms. Enhanced strength. Combat training. She could kill all 3 in seconds. But she did nothing. Just watch them sit down. President Daiho spoke first. He used a translation device. Small earpiece. It converted his words to Valorian language. Converted her words to human speech. Technology was impressive. Very advanced, he asked a simple question. Why did the Valorian Imperium attack Earth? What did humanity do to deserve invasion? Jiwan answered honestly. The Imperium expands, always expanding. Needs resources. Needs territory. Needs workers. This is the natural order. Strong rule weak. Predators eat prey. Universal law, Earth was weak. Or appeared weak. The scout report said primitive technology. No real defenses. Easy conquest. Another world to add to the empire. Nothing personal. Just business. Just survival. Ambassador Sora spoke next. She asked if the Valorians studied human history. Learned about human culture. Understood who they were attacking. Jiwan admitted they had not. Why would they? Primitives were all the same. Weak, frightened, desperate. Dr. Yunji pulled out a data pad. Holographic images appeared in the air. She began to explain, to teach, to reveal the truth about Earth. 50 years ago, Earth achieved faster than light travel. First human ship left the solar system, explored nearby stars. What they found was terrible. Ruins, dead civilizations, 47 extinct species within 200 light years. Every civilization had similar technology to Earth, similar development, similar hopes and dreams, all destroyed by conquest, all absorbed by predator empires. The pattern was clear. Young civilizations announcing their presence got hunted and killed. So humanity chose differently. They would develop in secret, hide their true strength, appear weak and primitive, build weapons that could defend against any invasion. Project Aegis was born. For 50 years, Earth prepared. They found fragments of advanced technology in dead civilizations, studied it, improved it, perfected it. Zero-point energy, quantum weapons, Dimensional shields. Gravitational manipulation. They built the weapons in secret, underground, on the dark side of the moon, in hidden asteroid bases, everywhere and nowhere. A fortress disguised as a garden. A trap waiting for predators. Ji-won listened. Understanding grew slowly. Humanity did not get lucky. Did not win by accident. They planned this. Prepared for decades. Waited for someone like her. Someone arrogant enough to attack. She asked the obvious question. If humans had this technology, why hide? Why not join the galaxy openly? Why not reveal their strength? Ambassador Sora explained. The galaxy is not a community, not a civilization. It is an ecosystem. Predators and prey. The Valorian Imperium. The Kresh Dominion. The Thalen Collective. All built on conquest. All hungry for more. If Earth revealed advanced technology, multiple empires would unite, gang up, destroy the potential threat before it grew strong. Better to appear weak. Let predators underestimate, then strike when attacked. Ji-won saw the trap clearly now. Her empire sent a conquest fleet against what they thought was easy prey. Instead revealed all their military capabilities to a technologically superior enemy. Lost nearly 1,000 ships. Showed weakness instead of strength. Strategic disaster. Complete failure. The Imperium looked vulnerable now. Other empires would notice. Might test them. Might attack. All because of this one battle. President Daeho explained humanity's position. Earth did not want empire. Did not want to conquer. Did not want to rule. They only wanted to be left alone. But now the secret was partially revealed. Valorian's new Earth was dangerous. He made an offer. Ji-won and all surviving crews would return home. All 23 captured ships would be returned, repaired, refueled, free to leave. Only one condition. She must deliver a message to the Emperor. The message was clear. Earth is claimed, protected, forbidden. Any future invasion will result in total destruction of the attacking force. Humanity will not attack first, but will obliterate anyone who threatens them. The Sol system is now a no-go zone, but then President Daeho added something unexpected. If the Valorian Imperium is willing to negotiate as equals, if they recognize Earth's sovereignty, if they agree to non-aggression, then humanity will discuss technological exchange. Mutual defense alliance. Ji-won stared. Could not believe it. After defeating the Imperium so completely, after destroying 824 ships, after proving superiority, humans offered friendship, alliance? It seemed impossible. President Daeho's face was serious, sincere. He meant it. Really meant it. Humans did not want enemies. They wanted partners, equals, friends if possible. Over the next week, Ji-won toured Earth, saw human cities, met human people, learned human culture. General Minho explained their military philosophy. Defense, not conquest. Protection, not domination. Strength used for survival, not expansion. Dr. Yunji showed her research facilities. Human and Valorian scientists working together, already working together, developing medical technology, agricultural improvements, things that helped people, saved lives, built instead of destroyed. She visited schools, saw human children learning, playing, laughing, families eating together, artists creating beauty, musicians making songs, normal life, peaceful life, not so different from Valorian civilians back home. Ambassador Sora told her about Earth's history, thousands of years of war, humans fighting humans, nearly destroying themselves with nuclear weapons, then choosing peace, uniting, learning from mistakes. Ji-won began to understand. Humanity became strong not despite violence but because they learned from it. United not from weakness but from wisdom. Hid not from cowardice but from intelligence. For the first time in her 200-year life, she felt respect for another species. Real respect. Not the respect given to strong enemies, but respect for worthy equals, maybe even potential friends. Before leaving Earth, she asked President Daeho one final question. What happens if the Imperium refuses peace, sends another fleet, tries again? President Daeho answered calmly. No anger, no threat, just simple truth. Then humanity will take the war to the Imperium. We'll strike Valorian worlds. We'll hunt Valorian ships. We'll show the Imperium what it means to be prey instead of predator. Ji-won believed him. Completely. She had seen human weapons, witnessed human planning, experienced human mercy. They had the capability to do it, the intelligence to plan it, and the will to execute it. She boarded her repaired flagship, The Eternal Dominion looked new. Better than new. Humans had upgraded systems, improved efficiency, fixed everything, even added supplies, food, medicine, fuel for the long journey home. As her ship left orbit, Jiwan looked back at Earth. The blue planet shined in the darkness, beautiful, deadly, a jewel hiding a sword. She would deliver the message to Emperor Quan, would recommend peace, would argue for alliance. The Imperium needed to learn what she learned, that strength comes in many forms, that intelligence beats arrogance, that the best warriors know when to fight and when to make friends. The Third Conquest fleet was gone, but maybe something better could rise from its ashes. Peace, understanding. A new way forward for both species. Admiral Jiwan returned to Valoria Prime 6 weeks after the battle. The journey was long, slow. The 23 surviving ships limped home like wounded animals. News had already reached the capital. Everyone knew about the defeat. The entire empire was shocked. The Third Conquest fleet was invincible, or supposed to be. 847 warships destroyed by a species nobody had heard of, by a planet that looked primitive and weak. Impossible. Yet it happened. Jiwan was summoned to the Crystal Palace, the Emperor's throne room. She walked through corridors filled with staring nobles. Whispers followed her. Failure, disgrace, defeat. Words she never expected to hear about herself. Emperor Quan sat on his throne. Ancient Valorian. 400 years old. He had built this empire, expanded it from a single star system to thousands, conquered hundreds of worlds. He knew power, understood strategy. The throne room was packed. Military leaders, senators, nobles, all wanted to see the disgraced admiral. All wanted to hear about the defeat. How could this happen? What went wrong? Jiwan delivered her report, honest, complete. She hid nothing. The trap, the advanced weapons, the technological superiority, the obliteration of the fleet, and finally humanity's offer, peace or total war. The throne room erupted, outrage, disbelief, anger. War Marshal Ji-hoon stood up, massive Valorian, veteran of 100 battles. He demanded immediate retaliation. Send the entire Imperial fleet, 50,000 ships. Crush these humans. Show them true Valorian power. Many nobles agreed, shouted support, called for revenge, called for blood. The Imperium did not accept defeat, did not negotiate with prey, did not show weakness. Emperor Quan raised his hand. Silence fell instantly. He looked at Jiwan, asked a single question. In your military assessment, could the Imperium defeat Earth? Jiwan wanted to lie, save face, protect her reputation, but she was a warrior. Warriors valued truth above ego. Her answer was devastating but honest. No. Earth's technology is too advanced. They destroyed our fleet easily. If we send 50,000 ships, we lose 50,000 ships. And then humans might decide we are too dangerous to leave alive. The throne room went silent. Dead silent. Nobody spoke. Nobody moved. The truth was terrible, frightening, unacceptable, but true. Emperor Quan nodded slowly. He had suspected this. An empire that expands forever must eventually meet someone stronger. The Imperium had been lucky for centuries. That luck just ended. He made his decree. The Imperium will accept Earth's offer, recognize human sovereignty, propose non-aggression treaty, explore technological exchange. This is not surrender. This is strategy. Survival. War Marshal Ji-hoon protested. Shameful. Cowardly. The Imperium does not bow to anyone. But Emperor Quan overruled him. Pride is expensive. The Imperium cannot afford it. Not against an enemy that can destroy them. 6 months passed. Diplomats worked, negotiated, drafted agreements. Admiral Jiwan became the Imperium's ambassador to humanity. Strange career change. From conqueror to diplomat. From enemy to friend. She returned to Earth. Met with President Daiho, Defense Minister Hyejin, Ambassador Sora. Negotiations took months. Difficult conversations. Hard compromises. But eventually, success. The Treaty of Solar Unity was signed. Historic agreement. First treaty between humanity and a galactic empire. Key provisions included recognition of Earth sovereignty, a 20-light-year exclusion zone, non-aggression pact, embassy exchanges, limited technological sharing in civilian areas. But one clause remained secret, known only to top leaders. If either species faced an existential threat beyond their ability to handle alone, they would help each other. Mutual defense. Potential allies. Strength recognizes strength. News of Earth's victory spread across the galaxy. Shockwaves through every empire. The Valorian Imperium defeated by unknown species. Suddenly everyone asked questions. What else is hiding out there? How many other secret powers exist? The Kresh Dominion sent scouts. Observed from distance. Found Sol system heavily defended. Decided against testing it. The Thalen Collective proposed trade discussions. The Vain Republic requested cultural exchange. Everyone wanted to know more about humans. Earth's strategy worked perfectly. By destroying a major fleet so decisively, they established themselves as too dangerous to attack, but by offering peace they showed potential value as allies. Humanity was no longer prey hiding in darkness. They were a known power demanding respect. Dr. Yunji began sharing selected technologies with Valorians. Medical advances, agricultural techniques, materials science. Nothing military, nothing dangerous, but enough to show good faith. Enough to build trust the Valorians shared in return. Star charts, knowledge of alien species, diplomatic contacts throughout the galaxy, information about threats and opportunities. For the first time in 50 years, humanity began emerging from isolation. General Minho stood in Sanctuary Control Room, now partially decommissioned. Weapons remained ready, always ready, but no longer the primary focus. Earth had new mission now, new purpose. A young officer named Siwu asked what humanity's role would be. What comes next for Earth? Minho explained simply. Humanity would be protectors, not conquerors, would seek out young civilizations, warn them about galactic dangers, share defensive technology with species facing extinction, build a network of free worlds, species that could resist Imperial expansion, help even the odds, give other civilizations the chance Earth had. Time to prepare, wisdom to hide, strength to survive. President Deho made a public address, revealed the truth about the galaxy, carefully avoiding panic, explained that Earth was safe but had responsibilities now. Must be more than survivors, must be leaders in building better galaxy. Humanity's response was positive, enthusiastic. After 50 years of hiding, people were ready to engage with Cosmos. Not as conquerors, not as imperialists, but as defenders of freedom. It felt right. Matched human ideals. 5 years passed. The galaxy changed. Earth operated 47 embassies across stellar nations. The Valorian Imperium shifted from pure conquest to diplomatic expansion. Trade routes connected Earth with dozens of alien worlds. Prosperity came to many. Admiral Jiwan became permanent ambassador. Worked closely with Ambassador Sora. Mediated disputes between Imperium and smaller species. She even advocated for reform within Valorian society. Former conqueror, now peacemaker. Dr. Yunji led joint research teams, human and Valorian scientists working together, made breakthroughs in medicine, technologies that saved billions of lives across multiple species, from enemies to partners in just 5 years. General Minho retired, started teaching at Earth's first interstellar military academy. Students from dozen alien species learned from human defensive strategies. The lesson was simple but profound. Strength without wisdom leads to destruction. Wisdom with strength can change galaxy. President Deho looked at star maps. Earth had contact with 89 alien civilizations, defensive alliances with 23, trade agreements with 54. The galaxy was still dangerous, still full of predators, but also becoming something new. A coalition of free worlds was forming. Inspired by Earth's example, species that would have been conquered now stood together. Old empires still existed, still powerful, but no longer unchallenged. Balance of power was shifting. Defense Minister Hyojin worked with Captain Ji Young, deployed defensive satellites around allied worlds, sharing technology carefully, selectively, helping other species protect themselves. Project Aegis on galactic scale. On Valoria Prime, Emperor Quan met with his council, discussed the changing galaxy. Some like War Marshal Jehun saw only threats. Others saw opportunities. The Imperium could evolve or become obsolete. The Emperor chose evolution. 10 years after the battle, a young Valorian named Yuna visited Earth, studied at Interstellar Academy, learned human history. Her grandmother had been on Eternal Dominion during the battle, witnessed human power firsthand. Yuna asked her instructor, a human colonel named Junho, the famous question. How did humanity defeat the Imperium so decisively? What was the secret? Unyo smiled. gave the answer that became famous across galaxy. Humanity did not win because of superior technology alone. We won because we understood something empires forgot. That true strength comes from unity, preparation, and will to defend what matters. We were outnumbered but never outfought, because we fought for our home. In Geneva, a memorial stood. Not celebrating violence, commemorating the moment humanity stepped onto galactic stage. The inscription read, "We did not seek war but were prepared for it. We did not desire dominion but demanded respect. We did not want to be alone but refused to be conquered. This is humanity's promise. We stand with the free. We defend the defenseless. We never surrender." Ambassador Sora stood at the memorial with Admiral G1. The Valorian asked philosophical question. Is the galaxy better now than before the battle? Sora considered carefully. More complicated, she answered. More challenging, but also more hopeful. Before there was clear hierarchy. Empires at top, everyone else beneath. Now there is uncertainty, conflict, but also possibility. Species have choices they did not have before. Jiwan nodded. She understood now. The old way was simpler but limiting. The new way was harder but created more opportunities. Her empire was adapting slowly. Learning from humanity's example, the story of Earth's defense became legend, told in 1,000 languages on 1,000 worlds. Different versions, different interpretations, but always same message, that strength without aggression is possible.